All right, we are now recording. Welcome everyone and happy Tuesday. Welcome to another session of mobility. So today might look a little different from what we've seen over the last couple of weeks. The last couple of weeks, we've been spending a lot of time doing some more passive stretching. We focused on different areas of the body. We've incorporated some active movements where we're, moving into that, moving into a different exercise or a different movement to help stabilize. But today's focus is going to be a lot more of that active movement. So we're going to see a lot more strength and stability. Okay, so this might be a little bit more challenging for you. Again, I will always provide options. So take the movements where you need. We want to honor our bodies, but also challenge it as well too. And stability and strength is a big component to our mobility and getting that range of motion, increasing our flexibility, etc. So we're going to be playing around with a little bit of that today, okay? So if you have like a bench or a seat, you can do some of these movements from the floor as well. I'll give you some options too, but they can be a little bit more challenging from the floor. So if you have a seat or a bench or a chair, a couch, whatever you have at home, we'll be going into those for some of our sessions. And as always, hi, I'm Michelle. I didn't introduce myself, but back for another week. Just a little heads up, I'm not here next Tuesday. I'm out of town for work, but I will be doing a recording tomorrow afternoon that will be sent out as well. So you can follow along on Tuesday, still at the same time if you like, or whenever time works best for you. So I'll make sure to send that over to Adam and Jillian, and they'll send that out so that you have access to that. Okay, otherwise, let's get started. So our first movement, I got my notes here. I always like to write it down. So I have a strategy. I have a strategy to these movements. I also should mention too, I decided to not put music on today. I know that we had just a couple comments that sometimes it sounds a little bit muffled with that music. So feel free, throw on some of your own music at home. And that way, hopefully you'll be able to hear the instructions a little bit more clear. Okay, we're going to start off with some leg swings here, just front to back. So if you'd like, you can hold on to something, or you can always just, again, kind of focus on that balance to get a little bit more of that stability. So we're just going to start off by kicking in. I would start small. We're just going to go front to back. Okay, so we're going to really focus on some of that hip stabilization in the first portion of our session today, right? So as we start swinging and we start to warm up that movement, you can see if you want to get a little higher with that, we'll spend some time here. You can always tap down, right? So you can try a swing. You'll also feel not only your hip, but your hamstring as well as we get a little higher into this range, right? Or again, you can focus a little bit more on that balance. And of course, the other option is to always hold on to like a wall, or if you have like a rod or a broomstick at home, you can do that. So we're just going front and back to start it off here. Good. See if you get nice and high. I feel a nice pull in the backside of my leg there, our hamstrings. Good. Let's try two more here. Woo. Last one. Good. All right. This time we're going to stay on that same leg, but we're going to be swinging side to side. Ooh, you're going to feel that a little differently in the hips. So again, starting small, right? And this is where you might want to hold on to something. I like to hold on to something for this one. But we're going to go side to side, starting small and gradually making that bigger. See if you can get out to the side. And you might not be touching your toes. As you can see, I'm getting to about my shin there or my knee. Good. And the other leg, you might feel a little bit of work going on there because we are stabilizing it. And we're trying to support that swinging leg. So we're just coming in and out to the side, making that a little bigger as we go along. Good. Shake it out. You might want to shake out the other leg. We're going to move to the opposite leg from what we started with. Again, starting going front and back. Starting small as we get a little bit more warmed up. You can take it bigger. You can, again, focus on a little bit of that balance there and opening up the back side of that leg and that hip. Good. Nice tall posture when we do this as well. We don't want to swing with it and really arc that back, right? We want to keep that core and that tailbone sort of locked in, nice and tight. Okay, good. That feels good. We're going to go side to side, just like we saw with the other leg. So again, starting small And then as we get bigger, we can come out a little bit more. We can use that hand as a guide to help direct maybe that range. We might get a little bit higher in that. But again, you should feel that. You can keep going. I'm just going to explain here. You should feel that right in your hips. Also, as we come out, you might start to feel your glutes start to activate. So we're just loosening all of that up. Good. All right. Once that feels good, you can find that set position. And we're just going to focus on that starting leg. We're going to come up to the side and out and then back around. Okay. So we're just going to focus a little bit on that hip circle. We're really trying to get all sort of ranges of that hip warmed up, nice and mobilized. It's just like we're almost, getting onto a horse here, getting off, right? Up, try to drive that knee up, coming out to the side, loosening around. Good. Again, hold on to something if you need here. Let's try one more each way. Now one more each way. There we go. One and back around. Good. Switch it out. Same thing that we saw. I'm going to come out and then bringing it back around. So starting lifting up to the front, opening out, twisting that foot around, and then we're coming backwards. Good. Planting that. You can find that balance. Great. Again, if you feel some snap, crackle, pop, that's okay. That's normal. Unless it's causing any pain, then you just shorten the range a bit, right? Take it where it needs to go. Good. All right. And if you're finding that you were losing a little bit of balance in any of those movements or using one leg, that's okay. When we lose our balance, we're training it. We're working on that stability. Another good thing, we won't be doing it too much today in today's session, but I'd like to incorporate some foot drills into our future sessions as well. So we play around with sort of moving those toes and finding that stable base down below, because that toe stability can make a difference in our stability throughout our big movements as well. Okay, good stuff. All right, next up, we've got a seated good morning. So we're going to take a seat here, whether that's on a chair or couch, and I'm going to show you both angles. I'll move around to the front. What we're going to do here is we're going to find a little bit of a stance a little wider than our hips. And what we're going to do here, you can either keep your hands up, and we're going to be hinging, okay, from the hips. So we're just folding there. If you're finding that you're rounding, okay, this is where having those hands up or putting it behind your head, because we want to make sure that we keep a nice neutral spine. If you feel pretty comfortable with that, you can always just keep your hands extended or grab some resistance to help ease into that motion a little bit more. So let's find that position, and we'll start with some reps here. Let's try 15 to start us off. So I'm going to start up here with my hands, and we're going to go just again, finding that range. Okay, you might be right here, right? You might be able to come all the way down. We'll all look a little different, but the goal here is that we want to make sure that we're just pivoting from the hips as opposed to folding the back. Okay, so really be mindful. We get to bring a lot of awareness to how our body moves when we do these gentle exercises. So bring some attunement to what we're focusing on. You're going to feel your hips here as well. You might feel a little bit of your hamstrings in this movement too. Inching forward, 6 there. I got 5 more here. And last one for me. Good. And when we're here at that last one, we can put our hands on our shins, or if we want to reach down to the ground, and we're just going to hold that. You can kind of wiggle into the sit bones there. Good. Again, keeping that neutral spine. Just folding. Really focus on elongating that spine, keeping a nice neutral back there. Good. As we moved with that, you might have felt that a little bit in your lower back. So again, shorten that range if you're starting to feel too much there, as opposed to maybe in our glutes, our hamstrings, and that hip. Good. All right, our next position, we're going to be doing a pike pulse. So you can do this seated on the chair, or you can come down to the ground. It's going to be a little bit harder from the ground there too. But what we're going to do is just take one leg straight out, okay? And we're going to try to lift it up, okay? So we're trying to keep it straight, lifting it up. Okay, this is going to help activate the hips there. So we're mobilizing and stabilizing, but also focusing on strengthening a bit there, okay? So again, you can do that from the ground. We're just going for 15 reps, just like we saw with the last one. You do it here, it makes it a lot harder because you kind of want to lean back a bit. We want to focus on keeping our core upright, nice, tall spine. So you can pick and choose. Okay, I'm going to jump in and do 5 more because you might have already started there. So we're going to aim for 15 reps, 2. And we want to focus on not swinging with it. So find that balance. You can grip onto something. Yeah, it's 5 for me. Good, we'll switch it over to the other side. As we also do this, focus on really engaging the quad there as well. You might feel a pull down your hamstrings as we do this too, because we are trying to keep that leg straight, and that's normal. We also help increase our flexibility and our range with the antagonist. So if we're focusing on squeezing and strengthening the front of the leg there, it's going to help with that flexibility in the opposite muscle group, the antagonist, which is our hamstring, the back of our leg. So let's go 15 here on the other side. Good, keeping that toe flexed. I got 5 more. Last one for me. Good. Make sure I did 5 there. All right, we can come on up. Good. So again, our ranges might have looked a little different. I've got really tight hamstrings, so when I extend that, I can't seem to get all the way up, but that's okay. Again, I'm just collecting information and building upon that as we go through our movements and as the weeks go on. So good work. Okay, next up, we're going to be doing a single leg RDL, okay, Romanian deadlift. That's our short form RDL. So what we're going to do here is find one foot. So I'm going to start with my left foot here too. You can hold on to something. I would suggest try, the first couple at least without that support. Have something nearby so you can grip if you do lose your balance a bit, or you can always tap down. We're going to find that stable position. Okay, and what we're going to do is kick that back leg out. You can also keep it bent, or you can keep it straight out, but we're folding forward and coming up to the top. So we're going to try 10 here. The goal here is to try to push that bum back, keeping a nice neutral spine. We also want to keep the hips stacked, right? So see how they're parallel to the ground as opposed to opening up like that. Okay, so this is 4 for me. You can have your hands out. Sometimes that helps for balance. You can also keep that knee up or tap your foot down at the top of that movement. Okay, so you can tap and then come back. This is an awesome hip stabilizing exercise that we can do. I love to program this a lot with my clients that maybe have some issues with their hips. Here's the last one here. Good. And again, I'm losing my balance. When we lose it, we train it. So it's all good. It's all good. We're going to try the other side. And you might notice one side has a little better balance than the other. And that's always good to know. Maybe one side that feels a little weaker. That's why unilateral work, one-sided work is so important, is that we can train sort of some of those areas of deficit from side to side. Nice and controlled here. Try to grip those toes into the ground. Find a nice stable base. Woo. Good, that was 10 for me. Shake it out. That might feel a little stiff there. Nice work. How are we feeling, everyone? Good. Okay, so back side of the legs might feel a little warm there. Your glutes might feel a little warm. Good work. A lot of hip stability there. We're loosening them up and moving with that. And we did a little bit of strengthening with it. So good. All right, next up, we're going to be focusing on strengthening the core and the back side. So we're going to come down at that tabletop position. Okay. And what we're going to do here is our bird dogs. Okay. So you're going to want a little bit of room. I'm going to angle my mat. And we're going to find that nice neutral spine. So as we do this position, we don't want to over arc that back. We don't want to round. Okay, what we want to do is find neutral spine, and we're going to extend one leg and the opposite arm. And then we're going to control it and bring it into that crunch. So there's one. We're going to go for 15 on each side. Good. As we do that, I'm going to just talk a little bit. So we're going for 15. Make sure there that our hips aren't, again, twisting up. We want to keep them parallel. So focus on squeezing that glute as you kick that leg back out and keeping our hand in line with our head. Okay, you can also keep your thumb up. Find that that helps for a little bit of support and balance. I'm just going to control that. You all might be coming to 15. There we go. Come down to the ground. All right, once you've done 15 on one side, we're going to move to the other side. So I'll join you for these ones here. So again, extending. And I know you might want to look up at the screen if your laptop or your phone or your tablet is above you, but try to keep that head neutral. Okay, we lose balance when we look up. So we get some of that stability and a lot more strength actually when we keep a nice neutral spine, even from our head. So those little details make a big difference. Nice and controlled. We don't want to swing with it. Keep that nice tempo. Last one for me here. Good. I'll give you a little fun trick too. So I show this one a lot to a lot of people that I train. And, you know, if we're doing like a deadlift, right? And we're a big, powerful movement, you know, sometimes we want to look up. And what happens is that you do lose some strength. So you can even try it. If you have someone push against that arm and you try to resist it, if you're looking up, your arm will quickly fall down. You'll see the difference as opposed to keeping that neutral head and trying to push down. So a little hard for me to do it on myself, but I'm telling you, if you do any lifting in the gym, keeping that neutral, like whether you're doing a row, a deadlift, keeping that kind of in line will improve your strength and your balance, your stability. So keeping that in mind. Good. All right. Good. So we warmed up the back side. We're going to focus on warming up the front side of our core now too. Strong core helps us with that strong mobility. So we're going to come down onto our back. And what we're going to do is a dead bug. So a couple things with this. We want our knees over top of our hips and our hands over top of our shoulders. This is going to help train your mind because the coordination here. So we're going to focus on one side at a time. We're going to extend one leg and the opposite arm. So it's almost like a reverse bird dog. Okay, this is our dead bug. I did not make up these names. So we're going to go 15 on each side. The goal here is to also keep that spine super flat on that ground. So we want to pull that belly button in and extend. This looks like a simple movement, but as soon as you start to make that small change, keeping that nice flat back, you'll feel it a lot deeper into that core. Good. So we're working coordination here. We're working our core. We also get some of that hip flexor, hip strengthening as well. I've got 5 more on this side. Good. And when you've done 15, we're going to switch to the other side. Very good. So you should focus, keep doing those 15. So if I slip my hand underneath your back, I shouldn't be able to get through, right? You want to lock it in, pull that belly button in, keep it nice and tight. Very good. All right, I'm throwing that out. All right, awesome. We'll just hang out here and get a little release. We've done a lot of active movements. So what we're going to do is just start by tucking in those knees. Okay, we can move side to side, or we can tuck it front and back. I'm just going to loosen that lower back. You might also feel this in your hips. So rocking. And then what we're going to do is take one knee, keep that in, and extend one leg. And this gives you a little bit of options here of where you want to take this one. You can keep it where it is. You can cross it over. Okay, cross it over your body, get a little bit more glutes in that IT band, or you can take it out a little wider and get a little bit more of those abs, like the inside of the thighs, the adductors. Good. So take it, you can even move it around. And with that same knee, I'm just going to pull it over to the side. So adding a little bit of rotation in there as well. And I'm just using my other hand to apply a little bit of pressure onto that knee to add a little bit more of that range with that twisting motion. You should feel this in your thoracic spine, you're all down your back there. Good. All right, you can shake it out. We're going to do the other side. So we're going to hug that and start off by hugging that right knee in. You can add some circles. Keep it fluid and dynamic, or you can just hold whatever feels right for you in this moment. And I didn't mention yet today, but keep those nice, deep cleansing breaths. We really want to focus on when something feels sticky and it feels a little tender, take a big, deep breath in and just release and see if you can just ease into that range a little bit more. Or crossing it over or keeping it out to the side. Once that feels good, we're just going to cross that leg over, add that little bit of a rotation. So trying to keep that upper back as flat as we can to the ground, adding a little pressure with the opposite hand if you'd like. This might feel like enough of a stress just like this. So feel this into your glute, your IT band, your back, your thoracic spine, like we mentioned. And just breathe. All right, good. If that feels good, you can shake it out. We're going to start making our way up to the top. How are those hips feeling, everyone? We got some thumbs up there. Everyone's on the ground. They're like, I'm enjoying this. I hope. All right. We got a heart. We got some love there. Okay, nice. Okay, next up, what we're gonna do, this one's gonna feel really nice for the hamstrings there. So we're gonna be doing a standing windmill. Okay, and you could do this. I'm gonna give you some options. You can do this with a little bit of support if you have like a yoga block at home or like some books, or you could even use your chair for a little bit more of an elevation. I'm going to show you some options. So what we're going to do, we're going to find a little bit of a wider stance, okay? And we're going to fold forward, okay? So finding that, that forward fold from our hips, which we warmed up already, you're going to feel a little bit deeper of a hamstring stretch here. And once that feels good, again, I have really tight hamstrings, so I'm not going all the way down to the ground. You know what? I might even grab my yoga block. I'm going to do that. Okay, so I'm going to keep it a little wider. What I'm going to do here is just add a rotation. So this is our half folding windmill. So again, we want to try to keep that neutral spine. You could also use a little higher of an elevation if that feels deep and still add that rotation in. I'm going to show you from the side here with my yoga block. So again, neutral spine, I'm folding and I'm coming up. As I come back into the center, I'm switching sides. So we're going to try 10 repetitions each way. 2, last one. Good. Good. All right, that was the rotation. You can shake it out, or if you'd like, we're going to spend a little bit more time in that fold. So we kind of warmed up that spine there with it too. And you can just hang out here too. You can cross those hands over and just let your body release into that stretch. Feeling the back of the hamstrings there. You can also support this movement by holding onto your shins or your knees or your thighs. Again, we'll all look a little different. So again, from the side, you can also just like round that back a bit too and just let it fold. Right, or again, take it where that needs to go. Good. All right. Shake it out. Feels good. I love that one for the back of the hammies there. And I always get a really tight back. So any rotation, we do a lot of rotations over the weeks, as you've seen too. We don't typically always move like this when we're sitting in a chair all day. So it's always good to loosen that up. Good. All right, we're ready to dance now. No, I'm just kidding. We're not dancing today. Okay, so let's come on down. We're going to do some cat camels from the ground, and then we're going to do a little bit more of the hip external and internal direction. So finding that tabletop position. We've done this one a couple times, and I'm sure you're all familiar with it if you've done some yoga before. So we're going to start off with that tabletop position. Get this down a bit. And we're just going to find that cat-cow. So neutral spine to start, hands are underneath our shoulders, and our knees are underneath our hips. And we're just going to tuck that tailbone in, and then tuck it out, looking up to the ceiling. As we tuck it back in, tuck that chin in. Try focusing with this one too, is start to turn with the hips first. So as you do this, instead of just like rounding the back, start by tucking that tailbone in and then let the rest follow. So I'm starting to tuck it out, and then everything else just follows along with it. Pushing into the ground to get a little bit more of a release into your upper back. Let's try 2 more. Good. All right, finding that tabletop position. We're gonna do something a little fancy here. I like to call this the snake. So what we're gonna do is look to take our left ear to our left hip, and then we're just gonna move it around. So find like a fluid motion here, and we're doing a little bit of side bending with this one. So you can have some fun with this. Picture moving your hips. Love this release in that side. It might feel a little bit funny to do, but it's really loosening up that whole midsection. Tucking one side to one hip and then reversing it. And we're just kind of making it fluid, fun. Good. All right. Feels a little bit looser there. Nice work. Okay, from there, we are going to stay down on the ground. We're going to do some internal and external rotations. So what we're going to do here is find that. I'm going to show you, and then I'll coach you through it. So one set at a time, we're going to stick our leg out, bring it to the side, tap down, come up, in, and tap down. I ran out a little bit of room there. So let's try that. We got 15 repetitions each side. You're probably going to feel this in like the side of the glutes there too, because we are doing that abduction movement. So some abduction as well. You're going to feel the glutes really firing up as we stabilize. So try to squeeze them and contract them to help stabilize again that movement. And then again, keeping, of course, that neutral spine. So we're not arcing. Okay, we want to lock it in. Okay, so we're coming up, back, and then down, tap, bring it up, around, and tap. Try to just pivot from the hips too, as opposed to like swinging the body out to the side. So we want it to come, and you might be right here. Like you might not come out all the way to the side, and that's perfectly fine too. So up, back, down. Good. Good. If that feels good on that side, then 15, then you can come to the other. So same thing, up, out, tap, up, in, tap. Feel those legs burning a little bit, my friends? And I can notice a big difference. Keep going there if you've got 15 left there. I notice a big difference in my right side as opposed to my left side. So it's just interesting, you know, I might spend some more time focusing on one side and movements to help develop some of that strength and that stability in the hips there. Okay, good stuff. Oh my goodness, we only have 5 minutes left. Stop for real. Okay, let's do a little bit of static stretching then to finish it off. So what we're going to do here is just come down to our backs. We're going to stretch out the glutes because we just worked them, got them nice and toasty. I can't believe that 30 flew by. Okay, you can have that support, that chair or that bench that we used before, and we're crossing one leg over. Okay, the closer that you scooch your bum towards that pivot point, the more depth and range, or the deeper of the stretch you'll get into the glute, but we want to try to push that knee out. Okay, you might not have to put pressure, you might just feel it like that. If you want a little bit more, you can always push that knee that's up outwards, right? Or again, scooch a little bit closer. And we're just gonna hold it. So I'm gonna scooch a little bit more because my glutes are feeling a little tender. Did some legs this morning. The goal here too is to try to keep that lower back like onto the ground. We don't wanna like lift up. We wanna keep it nice and stable there, planted. Just hold this. Breathe. Good. Shake it out. And then we're going to try the other side. So same thing, crossing over. You might want to back up because we held it, so you might have been able to get a little deeper as we held longer into that movement. Again, like I mentioned, I know for me, this side's a little bit tighter, so I just scooched back a bit. And then as I warm up this movement and the stretch, this hold, then I'll scooch a little closer. That feels really nice after all of that active work. Nice passive static hold. So I'm going to scooch in a little bit more, get a little deeper. Nice long holds at the end here. Breathing. That feels good. You can release out of that one. All right, we're going to come face down and just stretch out those quads. So you can come with your belly onto the ground. And what we're going to do here is you can also support your head with your forearms. So we're just going to grab that quad. Okay, and if that's too much of a deep stretch, again, you can use that support and kind of like use that as that stretch too. If you're finding that it's difficult to like grab it all the way back, right? You can shorten that range that way, or grab your laces. You can always grab like a scarf or like something, but also focus on squeezing the glutes here too, so that we open up that hip pocket a little bit more. You'll find you'll get a lot deeper stretch into this one here. Good, release that side. We can switch to the other side now. This is so nice and relaxing. My body feels a lot better. I hope yours does too. Very good. If that feels good, push those hips back up. We'll just end with a little bit of a rotation. You can do this from your knees. So I'm just using my other hand to prop myself up, keeping that spine nice and tall. And switching to the other side. Good. Shake it out. All right. Beautiful. Really needed that. You're very welcome. I needed that just as equally. So I thank you all for keeping me accountable, because this is one thing I'm like, oh, I'll stretch later. And it never happens as much as I'd like it to. So I thank you all for showing up and being here, watching the recording later. And I hope your hips feel a little better. We did a little bit of strengthening too. So you might feel a little tender. That's okay. The more that we strengthen those areas, the more that we can improve our flexibility and our stability. So great work, everyone. Stay beautiful. And I won't be here live next week, just a reminder, but I'll send out a recording for all of you to follow along. Okay. Bye, everyone. Stay wonderful.